as I have spent time with Ray Warren over the last decade of my life, I've noticed he's got a great habit that I want to encourage um, others to think of. You know, let me go back to a story. So one time, a lady, wonderful lady, kind of cornered me in the hallway at church at White Plains Church in Cary, and she said, "Hey, look, I don't know what it is, but God has been bugging me about something that involves you in this church." And it was actually a really wonderful conversation, and and she was pretty serious about it. She said, "I don't know how to sound like I'm not crazy, but it's just something God is bugging me, saying that there's something going to involve you and Ray Warren here at White Plains." And so she said, "In fact, I've gone into my savings and I've moved money even to support it financially, but I don't know what it is, but it's something." And so we talked a little bit, and as a result of that, Ray Warren and I met, and we talked and we discussed that. And one of the things we came up with is the idea of maybe filming something and on an ongoing basis for White Plains. That was 3 years before the pandemic of COVID. And then when COVID came along, at the end of that conversation, Ray and I both pointed out, well, we don't know what this is, but it's something, and let's just see where God goes with it. When I was young, a conversation ending that way appeared to be quitting or inaction. As I've gotten older and spent time around Ray, that is trusting the Holy Spirit, that if God is really at work, God is going to continue to build things around that idea, those original thoughts. And that has proven true. So, because years later, we did exactly and what we came up, what we thought of in that uh, coffee time together. We film on location weekly church services. Now I do it with in two locations, with Ray in one location and with White Plains in another. So it's the first time really though in my life I had seen something be brought up and slowly worked on and then really come to be something. Actually, now that I think about it, uh, our Y Challenge basketball uh, was the same way. It was something we talked about and we slowly grew it and boom, it became something. So some of the best things that happen in my life are things where I have learned to, when the Holy Spirit is nudging me, bring something up, make sure to share it with people and say, I don't know that anything needs to happen with this, but here's what I've thought of. Here's what God is kind of maybe this is God nudging me on this. And I think this applies in a lot of ways. I think it applies to things you want to see happen. So here's what I think the take home lesson is: follow the nudges of God and bring things up, but take all of the pressure off of other people to respond to them right now and in this moment, or to ever do what what you're mentioning. So perhaps it might be said like this: so someday it would be neat to maybe do blah blah blah. I've been thinking, wouldn't it be neat if we did this? Or someday I really would like to do this or that. So the two keys are to mention you would like, maybe you would like to see something happen in the future. Number two is, but there's no pressure on you to do that and to do it right now. I think this should be done in a lot of ways. I think this should be done in families. I think this should be done um, uh, marriages. It it gives people time to consider things in a way that's very freeing, but also remains open to God doing something new. And it could be today where something happens, or it could be 10 years from now. But bring things up in a way where you say, I've been thinking maybe it would be interesting to do this. But if God doesn't confirm that in your mind, no problem at all. So bring things up long before you would like to see them happen and give other people the opportunity to say no. It's okay if you don't like this idea. So those are kind of some thoughts on bringing things up way in advance of when you might like to see them happen.